The training grounds of the Orion Military Academy were always loud with voices, filled with recruits from across the galaxy, each species proud of its technology, its weapons, and its strength. The Academy was the center of elite training, a place where the best soldiers were forged for interstellar defense. Among the crowd stood a small group of humans. They looked ordinary compared to the towering reptilians, the armored insectoids, and the sleek, tall felines with glowing eyes. Their uniforms were plain, their weapons looked outdated, and their presence seemed almost laughable to the others. That day, a session was called at the Academy's massive open-air range. Instructors had announced that each species would present one of their standard weapons. The purpose was to test accuracy, power, and control in front of the others. It was a show of pride, and the alien cadets were eager to display their might. When the humans arrived, whispers spread quickly. Some alien recruits tilted their heads, others smirked, and many began to laugh openly. The object in the human soldier's hand looked ridiculous compared to the glowing plasma rifles and massive cannons other recruits carried. "Is that a toy?" one insectoid cadet hissed with mocking laughter. Its mandibles clicked in amusement as it pointed at the small rifle. "A child's weapon," a reptilian growled, shaking its scaled head. "Humans must be desperate to bring such a thing here." The laughter grew, loud enough to echo across the training grounds. The human officer, a tall man with calm eyes, stood without reacting. He let the aliens laugh, his face cold and unreadable. The human recruits behind him stayed silent too. They had been warned not to answer the insults. The alien instructor, an older being with silver skin and glowing eyes, raised his hand for silence. His voice was deep, and the laughter stopped slee. "Owly, every species will present its weapon in today's test," he said. "Mockery has no place here. The results will decide whose tools are efficient, not whose voices are loud." Still, the recruits could not resist whispering, "It will break before it even fires. It cannot even scratch armor. Humans are a joke." The human officer walked toward the firing line. He held the weapon with confidence, though to the aliens it seemed absurdly small. It was a sleek, dark rifle, compact and simple. No glowing energy cores, no humming power cells, just steel and design. An alien recruit, a feline with sharp fangs, called out, "Why bring a stick to a war, human? Did your people run out of real weapons?" More laughter followed, but not everyone was laughing. At the back of the crowd, a scarred veteran alien narrowed his eyes. He had seen battles centuries ago when humans fought alongside other species. His voice was low as he muttered, "Do not laugh too quickly, fools. Humans do not waste time building pretty weapons. They build weapons to kill." A young cadet near him turned and asked, "What do you mean? That weapon looks useless." The veteran only shook his head. "I have seen humans fight before. They never reveal everything at once. There is always something hidden." The cadet frowned, confused, but the words planted a small seed of doubt. Meanwhile, the human officer prepared the weapon. He checked the magazine, adjusted the sights, and stood firmly at the line. His calm movements contrasted sharply with the loud chatter of the aliens. The instructor raised his hand again. "First round of tests, stationary targets." One by one, alien recruits demonstrated their weapons. Plasma rifles tore through targets with bursts of glowing light. Cannons roared and shredded practice dummies into dust. Each shot filled the air with heat and sparks. The recruits cheered for on. Another, proud and loud. Finally, the instructor pointed to the human officer. "You may proceed." All eyes turned to the small weapon. The laughter returned in waves. Aliens covered their mouths to hide grins. Some did not bother. "This will be entertaining," someone chuckled. The human raised the rifle. Steady hands, cold eyes. He breathed slowly, the world around him quiet. He pressed the trigger once. The sound was sharp, nothing like the thunder of plasma. A clean crack echoed across the field. For a moment, the aliens thought nothing happened. Then the target shattered, torn into fragments by sheer force. The laughter froze. The human did not stop. Another crack, another target destroyed. Every shot precise, every shot final. The aliens' smiles faded as silence spread. The small rifle moved smoothly from target to target, each one shredded as if struck by invisible claws. At the end of the line, the human lowered the weapon. His face unchanged, his recruits stood straighter, proud in their silence. The alien instructor's glowing eyes narrowed. "Impressive," he said simply, but the weight of his voice carried a warning. The test was only beginning. The alien recruits whispered now, not in laughter but in unease. Their pride had been challenged, and this was only the first round. The young cadet who had doubted earlier swallowed hard. His mind replayed the veteran's words, and for the first time he wondered, what else were the humans hiding? And somewhere in the shadows of the academy grounds, more eyes watched, knowing that today was only the start. The galaxy would soon remember why humanity was never to be underestimated. The range test was over, but the shock remained. Alien recruits stood frozen, staring at the shattered targets. Their laughter had turned to silence, and silence had turned to unease. The human officer placed the rifle back on his shoulder, walking away with calm steps. He didn't smile, he didn't speak. His silence spoke louder than any words. The alien instructor dismissed the group for a break, but no one rushed to leave. Instead, clusters of cadets gathered, whispering in low voices. Some still tried to laugh, saying it was luck or a trick, but the unease in their eyes betrayed them. Near the back, the scarred veteran alien remained still, his eyes locked on the humans. He had seen too much to dismiss what just happened. A young reptilian cadet approached him, scales glinting under the academy lights. "Old one, why are you staring at them like that? It was only targets, nothing special, nothing compared to plasma fire." The veteran's voice was rough, his tone heavy with memory. "You do not know humans. That is your mistake. I fought in the last border war. I saw what their so-called toys can do." The cadet frowned. "But they have no plasma, no advanced energy weapons. Their ships are slower, their armor is thinner. How could they win anything?" The veteran leaned closer, his eyes cold. "Because humans do not fight like us. They fight to end wars quickly. They fight to break spirits. Their weapons are built for one purpose: death. Pure, efficient, relentless death." The cadet swallowed but still shook his head. "That weapon was small," he whispered. "It cannot compare to our cannons." The veteran's mandibles clicked as he sneered. "Do you know what I saw? A single human squad with those small rifles cut down an armored division of Grax tanks. Shields meant to resist plasma fire were useless. Their armor was shredded. Their soldiers fled in terror. That is why the galaxy fears humans." The reptilian's eyes widened, disbelief mixed with fear. He glanced at the humans, who now stood quietly apart, speaking only to each other, calm, focused. Their silence made them more threatening than any boast. Across the grounds, other whispers spread. A feline recruit leaned toward her group. "My ancestor told me stories. They say humans once fought wars with nothing but metal and fire. Entire empires fell to their machines." Another insectoid clicked nervously. "But that was long ago. They cannot still be so dangerous." "Then explain what we just saw," the feline hissed back. The tension thickened like a storm cloud. Pride was cracking, and something darker was replacing it. Curiosity mixed with fear. The alien instructor returned, his expression unreadable. He raised his voice. "Enough whispers. The next test will prove strength beyond doubt. No more targets. Today you face moving drones, armored and fast." Gasps spread through the cadets. This was no ordinary training. The moving drones were combat-level machines, designed to dodge, shield, and strike back. Few recruits passed this stage without embarrassment, but the aliens were eager again, desperate to restore their pride. "The humans cannot win this one," one muttered. "Their toy gun will fail against shields," another agreed. The human officer simply adjusted his rifle. No emotion, no fear. The first wave began. Drones shot into the air, glowing shields activated, weaving between obstacles. Alien cadets fired plasma, bright streaks cutting across the sky. Some drones fell, others survived. Many cadets missed, frustration boiling. When the humans were called forward, the silence returned. All eyes fixed on them, waiting, hoping to see failure. The officer raised his weapon. One crack, a drone fell. A second shot, another collapsed. No wasted bullets, no wasted motion. The rifle spat thunder, and every drone that appeared was torn apart as if its shield was made of paper. Whispers turned to gasps. One insectoid recruit gripped its arms tight. "Impossible. That weapon should not even pierce energy shields." The veteran spoke again, his voice low but carried through the crowd. "You do not understand. Humans do not break shields with energy. They break them with force. Their weapons carry mass at speeds your science ignores. Sis. Shields built for plasma cannot stop raw physics. The words spread like fire. Fear crawled into the hearts of the cadets. If such a small weapon could destroy shields, what could larger human weapons do? The human officer lowered the rifle, his face calm. Then, for the first time, he spoke. His voice was steady, chilling in its simplicity. This is only a standard-issue rifle. Our true weapons are not for demonstrations. A shiver ran through the crowd. The young reptilian cadet stared at him, and for the first time he felt doubt burning stronger than pride. He whispered almost to himself, "If this is their smallest weapon, what monsters have we mocked?" The human's gaze swept across the crowd. He didn't smile, but his silence left every alien with the same thought. This was only the beginning, and as the Academy's twin suns began to set, the shadows stretched long, carrying whispers of dread. The galaxy had forgotten humanity's history, but now, piece by piece, it was remembering. The next morning, the Academy grounds buzzed with restless energy. Word of the human rifle had spread faster than wildfire. Recruits who had not even witnessed the test whispered rumors in the mess halls, in training yards, even in the barracks. Some called it a trick, a staged illusion by the instructors. Others claimed the weapon was enhanced with hidden technology, but many, too many, were starting to feel unease. The alien commander, strict and cold, called all cadets to the grand firing dome. The dome was massive, lined with moving platforms, armored walls, and endless targets. Today's trial was not only for accuracy, but for supremacy. The alien recruits were eager to restore their pride. One by one, species stepped forward to show their firepower. The reptilians carried plasma cannons longer than their bodies, glowing with energy. With a roar, they fired, scorching entire walls. The crowd cheered, trying to drown out the memory of yesterday. Then came the insectoids, wielding rapid-fire particle blasters. The air shook with bursts of light. Targets were shredded, smoke filled the chamber. The insectoids clicked their mandibles in triumph. The feline sharpshooters stepped forward. Their rifles were sleek, polished, glowing with precision lenses. They hit every target across the hall, sparks flying. Their arrogance returned as they bowed dramatically to the crowd. The air grew thick with pride. Each species displayed its weapons with dazzling shows of light and sound. Each group hoped their power would overshadow the memory of the human's simple rifle. But when the human officer stepped forward again, silence fell. He carried the same compact weapon. No glow, no energy hum, no aura of technology, just cold steel and simplicity. The whispers returned instantly. They dare bring the toy again. It will fail this time. The drones yesterday were luck. The instructor raised his voice. Demonstration level 2. Armored moving targets. Begin. The reptilians went first. Their cannons roared, but the armored drones weaved through the storm. Shields flickered, some cracked, but many drones survived. The reptilians growled in frustration. The insectoids followed. Their rapid bursts scorched the walls. Some drones fell, but others dodged with speed. The blasters overheated, forcing the insectoids to stop, hissing in anger. The felines stepped forward with elegant confidence. Their shots were precise. Their lasers cut through the air like fire. They destroyed several drones, but their ammunition ran out before the last few were hit. The surviving drones hovered mockingly, lights glowing, cheers mixed with grumbles. Each species had shown strength, but also weakness. Then the instructor turned. Human unit, step forward. The human officer walked calmly to the line. His recruits followed, silent, eyes sharp. And the officer raised his rifle without a word. The first drone appeared, a blur of metal and shields. The officer fired once. A crack echoed. The drone exploded. The crowd gasped. Another drone zigzagged across the field. Its shield shimmered brightly. Plasma blasts had failed against it earlier. The human fired. One shot. The drone collapsed in a shower of sparks. More drones came. Faster. Armored, darting between obstacles, the human did not hesitate. Shot after shot, each one precise. The drones fell like toys, shields shattered, armor torn. The silence of the crowd grew heavier with every fallen drone. Recruits who had once laughed now stared with wide eyes. Their pride began to rot into fear. Finally, the instructor raised his hand. Enough! His voice echoed, but even he looked unsettled. Every drone lay in pieces. Not one had escaped. The human lowered the rifle, smoke drifting from the barrel. He turned without ceremony and walked back to his unit. The recruits erupted in whispers. How did it pierce the shields? What power does that weapon use? No energy signature, no heat readings. How? The veteran alien from before growled low. It is not energy, it is speed and mass. A bullet, a tiny piece of metal moving faster than your eyes can track. No shield designed for plasma can stop it. The young reptilian cadet who had mocked earlier now stood pale. His pride crumbled. His voice shook as he whispered, "If such a small weapon can do this, what do their larger weapons look like?" The instructor called for silence. His silver eyes glowed brighter. Humans have demonstrated precision and power, but war is not won by weapons alone. It is won by soldiers. Next test. Combat drills. Gasps filled the hall. Combat drills meant direct engagement, weapons in hand, speed, tactics, survival. The aliens smiled again, believing their size, strength, and claws would finally show superiority. But deep inside, fear coiled like a serpent. The humans had not broken a sweat. They had not even revealed emotion. The worst part was not the weapon. It was the way they used it, calm, efficient, merciless. The human officer paused before leaving the line. He turned his head slightly, his voice cutting through the silence. These are only drills. In war, we aim for one thing, to end it. The recruits shivered. Some pretended to laugh, but their voices cracked. The legend of humanity was returning, and every cadet in that dome felt it in their bones. The galaxy had underestimated the wrong species. The air inside the combat dome grew heavier. The walls seemed to hum as the instructor announced the next stage. Combat drills. One-on-one engagements, no restrictions. The victor is the one left standing. A ripple of excitement spread through the alien cadets. This was their chance, they told themselves. Weapons might be strange, but in close combat, their claws, strength, and speed would crush the fragile humans. The reptilian cadets hissed with anticipation, flexing scaled arms thick as tree trunks. The insectoids clicked their mandibles, eager to tear through flesh. The felines sharpened their claws against the floor, their eyes glowing with hunger. The humans stood silent, their expressions unchanged. They did not boast, they did not smirk. They only adjusted their gear, calm as if they had done this 1,000 times. The first match was called. A reptilian twice the size of the human recruit stepped into the ring. The crowd roared, certain of the outcome. The reptilian scales gleamed like armor, its tail lashed, its teeth bared. The human walked forward with measured steps, holding only a training knife. His face was cold, eyes locked. He didn't even flinch when the reptilian let out a roar that shook the dome. "Begin," the instructor commanded. The reptilian charged like a beast, claws slicing through the air. The crowd shouted in triumph, but the human sidestepped smoothly, almost too fast to track. The reptilian stumbled as the blade flashed once across its exposed side. Gasps filled the dome. The reptilian spun, swinging with brute force, but the human ducked low, sliding across the floor. He struck again, quick and precise. The reptilian fell to its knees with a shocked grunt. The match ended in less than 10 seconds. Silence followed. The massive reptilian lay disarmed, its weapon tossed aside. The human stood untouched, breathing steady, calm, as if nothing had happened. The instructor raised his voice. "Winner, human recruit." No cheers came, only stunned silence. The next match was called. An insectoid recruit with 4 arms and razor-sharp claws entered. Its movements were fast, jerky, unpredictable. The crowd leaned forward, convinced this would end the human's streak. The human stepped forward, this time without even drawing a blade. His hands were empty. The insectoid hissed and lunged, claws flashing from every angle. The human twisted, blocked, redirected each strike with minimal movement. Then he struck once at the insectoid's joint. Its arm went limp. Another strike, another arm disabled. The insectoid collapsed with a shriek, unable to rise. Again, silence followed. One by one, species entered the ring. Felines with speed, insectoids with numbers, reptilians with brute force. Each match ended the same way. Humans struck fast, silent, and precise. They never wasted movement, never wasted breath. Minutes felt like hours. The dome filled with tension that pressed down on every chest. Each alien recruit who once mocked now watched with wide eyes, their pride breaking piece by piece. Whispers began to crawl through the silence. How do they move so fast? They fight like machines. No, worse than Hawkins, they fight like predators. The scarred veteran alien spoke again, his voice low but carrying across the stunned crowd. You see now, this is why humans terrify the galaxy. Their strength is not in size or weapons alone. It is in their will, their precision, their refusal to stop until the enemy is broken. The young reptilian cadet, the one who had mocked the rifle days before, stood pale. His claws shook slightly. They are small, but they fight like giants, he whispered. His words trembled. The final match was announced. The human officer himself would face a selected champion. The instructor chose the Academy's strongest cadet, a towering insectoid elite with armored plates and a plasma staff. The dome fell silent. Every recruit leaned forward. This was the moment to prove who truly deserved respect. The insectoid roared, striking the ground with its staff, sparks flying. It towered over the human officer, looking like a monster from another world. The officer walked into the ring without fear. His rifle remained slung across his back. He carried only a knife. His expression was cold, unreadable. Begin. The insectoid charged with blinding speed. The staff crackled with plasma, cutting through the air. The crowd gasped. The strike could have split a starship hull. The officer moved like water, flowing aside. His blade flashed once, striking the insectoid's joint. Sparks flew as the staff wobbled. Another strike, another joint disabled. The insectoid stumbled, roaring in rage. The officer closed in, blade at its throat before the insectoid could recover. Silence crushed the dome. The match had lasted less than 20 seconds. The instructor's voice trembled, though he tried to remain firm. Winner, human officer. The humans stepped back to their line, silent as always. Their faces gave nothing away, but their message was clear. Mockery had ended. The cadets sat frozen, their mind shattered. The laughter of days past seemed like a distant memory. In its place stood respect, fear, and something deeper, a realization that the galaxy had underestimated the wrong species. The human officer finally spoke, his voice low but sharp as steel. Do not mistake our silence for weakness. It is patience, and patience ends only when the enemy is broken. The dome remained silent. No one dared to reply. The shock had turned to something far heavier. Humanity was no longer a joke. Humanity was a storm waiting to be unleashed, shattered. Every match had ended with humans standing tall and unbroken. The instructor's silver eyes scanned the crowd. He could feel their doubt, their shaken pride, and he knew the next stage would either restore it or destroy it completely. His voice echoed across the chamber. Final test of the day, advanced armored drones, full combat sequence. Gasps swept through the crowd. The armored drones were not training toys. They were machines built for battlefield simulation, thick plating, heavy shields, and built-in weapons that mirrored real war scenarios. Even seasoned cadets often failed to stop them. The reptilian recruits grinned with sharp teeth, desperate to win back their honor. Now the humans will fail, one growled. No toy weapon can break those machines. The insectoids hissed in agreement. Let them try, the drones will crush their pride. The humans remained silent, their expressions unchanged. The drones rolled into the dome, massive constructs with glowing shields and mounted cannons. Their eyes burned red, scanning for targets. They looked like monsters forged from steel and fire. The first reptilian stepped forward, roaring as it unleashed a barrage from its plasma cannon. Bolts of energy struck the drone's shield, sparks exploding, but the shield held, and the drone advanced, firing back with stunning force. The reptilian dove aside, barely avoiding defeat. Next came an insectoid squad. Their blasters rattled the air, showering the drone with rapid fire, but the drone's armor absorbed the damage. Its return fire sent them scrambling. The crowd murmured nervously, their pride slipping further. The felines took their turn, moving with elegant speed. Their rifles struck precise points, sparks flying from the drone's armor, but the machine marched on, unstoppable, forcing them back in retreat. Failure after failure piled up. The drones proved what everyone knew. They were designed to withstand the galaxy's best weapons. Then the instructor's voice rang out, sharp. Human officer, Step forward. The dome fell silent again. The human officer walked calmly to the line, his rifle gleaming under the lights. His recruits stood behind him, their eyes steady, the drone activated, shields glowing bright, cannons humming with lethal power. The ground shook as it advanced. Its presence seemed unstoppable. The human officer raised his rifle. He did not rush. He did not fire wildly. He simply aimed, breathed, and pulled the trigger. A single crack echoed. The drone's shield shimmered, then shattered like glass. Gasps erupted. Another shot, and the drone's armored chest burst open, wires and steel flying apart. The massive machine collapsed, sparks raining across the dome. The silence that followed was deafening. The officer calmly reloaded. Another drone appeared, charging with blinding speed. The rifle cracked once, twice, 3 times. The drone exploded in midair, falling in smoking fragments. More drones were unleashed, faster, stronger, moving in coordinated patterns. The officer fired without hesitation. Each shot found its mark. Shields broke, armor split. Machines that had stood against plasma and particle beams fell like toys. Within minutes, every armored drone lay in ruins, smoke rising across the battlefield. The alien recruits sat frozen, disbelief carved into their faces. They had mocked, they had doubted, but now their pride was gone, shattered like the drones before them. The scarred veteran alien finally spoke, his voice a low growl that carried through the silence. This is what I warned you. This is why humanity is feared. Their weapons are not loud, not flashy, but they are final. When they fight, they end wars. The young reptilian cadet who once laughed the loudest now sat with trembling claws. His voice cracked. If this is just their basic weapon, what horrors do they keep hidden? The human officer lowered his rifle, his face as calm as ever. He looked across the room, his gaze sharp as steel. Then he spoke, his words cold and final. These are not even our strongest weapons. These are the tools we give to every soldier. What we keep hidden is not for training grounds. A wave of dread washed through the recruits. The meaning was clear. What they had witnessed was only the surface. Humanity's true strength was still locked away, unseen. The instructor finally broke the silence, though his voice carried unease. The test is complete, he declared. Humanity has proven superiority in this round. But his words did nothing to comfort the recruits. Their pride was broken, their confidence burned to ash. Every species in that dome now understood. They had mocked a predator far older, far deadlier than they could comprehend. As the humans left the line, silent as ever, the whispers began again, not mocking this time, but fearful. They fight like death itself. If this is what they call training, war against them is suicide. The dome's lights dimmed as the session ended, but in the minds of the cadets the truth burned bright. Humanity was no longer a forgotten rumor. Humanity was a storm, and the galaxy had just felt its first drop of rain. The dome still smelled of smoke and metal. Shattered drones lay scattered across the floor, sparks flickering like dying stars. The alien recruits sat in silence, their pride crushed, their voices stolen. The humans stood calm as ever, rifles slung over their shoulders. Their faces gave nothing away. They looked almost ordinary, and that made them even more terrifying. The alien instructor who had watched in silence finally stepped forward. His silver eyes glowed faintly. His voice was steady but heavy. Humanity has demonstrated victory in every test. He paused, then added, "Now explain, officer, what is the truth behind these weapons?" The human officer raised his head slowly. His gaze swept across the recruits, lingering on their pale faces. His voice was cold but clear. "You want to know our secret? Very well." He lifted the rifle in his hands. "This is not magic, not hidden energy, not advanced technology. It is simple physics, a piece of metal moving faster than sound, faster than thought. Shields designed for plasma cannot stop raw force. Armor designed for beams cannot resist speed and impact. Your science ignored it. We perfected it." Whispers broke through the silence. "Just metal? Impossible. It cannot be so simple." The officer's eyes narrowed. Simple does not mean weak. Simplicity means efficiency. It means it never fails. When plasma overheats, when beams misfire, when cannons break, this still fires. In rain, in snow, in vacuum, it fires. That is why our soldiers carry it. The scarred veteran alien nodded slowly, his voice grim. "I told you. Humans never build weapons for beauty. They build them to end life. The cadets shifted uneasily. Some looked at their own weapons, glowing and humming with energy, suddenly fragile in their hands. The young reptilian cadet, still trembling, forced himself to ask, "But why? Why build something so brutal, so merciless?" The human officer's voice lowered, sharp as a blade. "Because war is not a game. It is not about showing power. It is about survival. Humanity has fought wars against itself for thousands of years. We learned the hard way that flashy weapons do not win. Ruthless efficiency does." The words struck the cadets harder than any weapon. They realized then that humanity's true strength was not just in their rifles, it was in their mindset. The feline recruit spoke up, her voice shaking. "If this is your standard weapon, what about your real ones? What horrors do you hide?" For the first time, the officer smiled. Just a small, cold smile. It was not comforting. It was terrifying. "What we showed you today is the weapon we give to every soldier. What we keep hidden is not for demonstration. It is for war. And when war comes, it ends quickly." The recruits froze. The weight of his words sank into their bones. The instructor stepped forward again, his expression unreadable, but his voice carried respect. "You mean to say, humanity designs weapons not to fight wars, but to finish them?" The officer nodded once. "We fight to end, not to play, not to boast. That is why you mocked us, and that is why you lost." The dome grew colder. The cadets felt it in their hearts. The humans were not just another species with strange weapons. They were something older, sharper, forged in endless wars. The scarred veteran alien's voice echoed once more. "I fought beside humans once, centuries ago. I saw them turn battles with weapons smaller than this. I saw them end wars before they began, because when humans fight, they fight with everything. They hold nothing back." The young reptilian cadet lowered his head, shame burning in his chest. He whispered, "We thought they were weak, but they are stronger than all of us." The human officer's eyes swept across the croats, but his voice cut through the silence. "You see us as small, fragile, unremarkable, but remember this. Do not mistake silence for weakness. Do not mistake simplicity for weakness. Humanity is patient." The academy dome emptied slowly after the humans left, but the silence remained. No one laughed. No one boasted. The recruits sat in heavy thought, their pride scattered like the ruins of the drones. The scarred veteran alien stood apart, his eyes dark with memory. He had seen this before. He had warned them, but now they understood. Humanity was not a species to be mocked. Humanity was a storm, silent until it struck. The young reptilian cadet sat with his claws clenched, shame burning inside him. Days ago, he had laughed louder than anyone, mocking the toy gun. Now his laughter haunted him like a ghost. He whispered to himself, "We were fools." The instructor returned, his silver eyes colder than before. His voice echoed across the dome. "This lesson will not be forgotten. You came here to test your strength. Instead, you were shown what strength truly is. Humanity has reminded us of a truth we ignored." The recruits lowered their heads, some in respect, some in fear. The feline recruit finally spoke, her voice quiet but firm. "We mocked them because we did not understand. But what we saw today was not luck. It was discipline, precision, and will. They fight differently because they have lived differently." The instructor nodded. "Exactly. Humanity's history is written in blood, not because they desired war, but because they survived it. They sharpened themselves on conflict until nothing could break them." The insectoid recruits clicked nervously, their pride shattered. One muttered, "If this is their weakest weapon, then their strongest must be beyond nightmares." The scarred veteran turned to them, his voice grave. "You do not want to see their strongest weapons, because when humans bring those out, it means the galaxy is already burning." Fear swept through the crowd again, but beneath the fear was something else. Respect. A respect that no alien had expected to feel for a species once mocked as fragile. Suddenly, the massive doors of the dome opened. The humans returned, not for battle, but to stand in silence. The officer stepped forward, his calm gaze sweeping the recruits. The silence deepened. Every cadet felt their hearts pound. His presence alone was heavy. He spoke, his words cold but steady. You have seen only fragments of what we carry. This was training, nothing more, but remember this, mockery ends in silence, and silence is where we thrive. The recruits bowed their heads. The reptilian cadet who once mocked the loudest stepped forward, his voice shaking. We misjudged you. We called your weapon a toy, but we see now, it is us who were the children. The officer's expression remained unreadable. He gave no smile, no nod, only silence, and that silence carried more weight than words. The feline recruit stepped forward next, lowering her head. You have earned our respect and our fear. The officer turned, preparing to leave, but before he stepped away, he paused. His final words carved themselves into the bones of everyone present. What you witnessed today was not power. It was restraint. Pray you never see what happens when restraint is gone. The dome fell into absolute silence. No one dared to breathe, no one dared to speak. Humanity's shadow stretched across them all as the humans marched out, their boots striking in unison. The sound echoed like thunder. It was not the sound of soldiers, it was the sound of inevitability, the scarred veteran alien whispered as they disappeared from sight. The galaxy has forgotten their legend, but after today, the legend has returned. Humanity does not seek glory. Humanity does not seek pride. Humanity seeks victory, and when they fight, nothing survives. The young cadets looked at one another, their arrogance gone forever. Each of them carried the essay. Me thought, humanity was not weak, humanity was not primitive, humanity was the most dangerous force the galaxy had ever known. And in the cold silence of that dome, respect was finally earned, fear was finally planted, and the truth was undeniable. If war ever came again, it would not be the galaxy that decided the outcome. It would be humanity,